VCTV from LATOKEN. Today is a special panel, I have to say. Today I have two beautiful, special women that I was just discussing before we went live. Somebody I know very well and somebody who's very new, but somebody, even though she's new, it's just become very close now. So yeah, today topic is about space tech and deep tech, investments and trends around that. We have Reena again, who has been a regular speaker on VCTV. Today we have Vandana from India, who is joining us for the very first time. She's an investor as well, and she's going to share her insights on both the topics. So before we before I jump into my speakers, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the regional director of LATOKEN based here in Singapore, and I host VCTV Monday to Friday without fail, every day. So we have been hosting VCTV, as I was telling you ladies, since March 2020, because we couldn't do our road shows that we used to do. And Irina knows about that as well. We used to travel to US, Europe, Asia, everywhere. That started because of the pandemic. Hence, we moved everything very fast, very quickly to an online platform like this, where we connect people, investors, entrepreneurs, same concept, all online. It's become very educational as well. A lot of people look up to VCTV for getting information, which is good. Besides getting information about the investors, where they're investing into, what kind of startups the investors look into, what kind of startups we have to invest into as well. We have grown since then in the size of community. We're talking about investors, we're talking about entrepreneurs here. So great. So that's all about me and VCTV. And welcome again to woman only panel episode of VCTV. Let me just put it that way. And by the way, Irina and me, sorry, just introduce our speakers. We have Irina Litchfield. Hi, Irina. Welcome to VCTV. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you. It's great to
we discuss this, sort of matching red. No, did we? It's a coincidence, but it's a good coincidence.
Nobody will ever know if we coordinated it.
Yeah. So, Vandana, welcome to VCTV. Vandana, this is your first time on VCTV. You are dialing in from Delhi, Gurgaon. And how are you feeling?
Thank you so much for honoring me with this platform. I'm very grateful to you and Carol for this, and very nice to meet Irina, and I've heard a lot about you, and I'm very blessed that today I'm going to hear a lot of insights from you. I'll just tell you briefly about myself. I was in Singapore and Jakarta for 15 years, and this is my 6th year back in India. And I run my own investment banking firm out of Gurgaon, connected with 175 investors globally. That includes PEs, VCs, angels, and HNIs. And my firm is called Convanto. We are a small boutique investment banking firm. We do a lot of fundraisers. We do business consulting. We do pitch deck and financial modeling making. We do mentoring. And we have just started a small segment. This segment is headed by my daughter. During lockdown, children wanted to utilize their energies, and there was this cake company that was at zero revenue. My daughter helped them with web designing, with graphic designing, with also posting their posts on Facebook and Insta, and they became 3 times more the revenue. Then she did a lot of this kind of work. So this small segment is headed by my daughter, and this is all about us.
Oh wow! How old is your girl? How old is your daughter?
16. She's 16. She's an entrepreneur now.
Oh, that's fantastic. Vandana, welcome back to Singapore virtually. that's where that's where I am. So I would have loved to got you up if we had this kind of physical conferences that we used to have. But anyways, we meet virtually. And beyond 2020, I hope we have good days and we can meet in person again. So
Yes,
and thank
definitely.
you for the introduction.
Thank you so much.
And welcome to TV. I'm glad to have you as well. Same kind of sort of feelings. Irina, Welcome back after a short break. I know you've been doing a lot of things about your venture, something like that. Sorry, I forgot the name. I see you a lot, running around doing conferences. I think things are getting back to normal in Texas. Just tell us more about that, and also since you've come back after a little break, just help introduce yourself. Thank you.
Yes, I did take a break. I only can do so many times. I'm not such a early morning person naturally, so definitely requires an alarm for me. So anyhow, Texas is coming back to normal. But overall, Texas has not been so extreme in the shutdowns and everything, as especially in Austin, as as California and New York. So, but it's all coming back to life. And yes, we will all go back to normal and traveling.
Please, we have to go back now.
Right. So, I mean, as the slow times happening right now, this is a really great time for us to be able to do a lot of work internally, right? And people are taking calls. People are taking, people are meeting. They're just doing that virtually. And in some ways, if you think about it, it is kind of a time where we can slow down a little bit and build the foundations for a lot of innovations that we need to implement. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it, because if we were traveling all over the world, maybe a lot of things couldn't have been done, as they're getting done right now, as we're changing legacy systems and using implementation of technologies all over the world, from really top-down level. I'm not just talking about startup innovation, but I'm talking about the really real innovation when we're talking about legacy integration into legacy systems. That requires a lot of time, and then requires shock. And this year has been nothing but a shock. And so, if we step back to last year, and we look at the state of implementation of technologies, right? We discussions that we were having were kind of, okay, yes, we can use some of this settlement, for example, settlement technologies, but maybe on a local, on a big government level, the discussions were like, yes, we'll do that, maybe in like 5 to 10 years, right? And that was the reality, and especially for finance, right? So integration of blockchain technology into traditional finance was about 5 to 10 years away when it came to regulatory infrastructure, right? So I'm not talking about here, creating legislation and all of that. I'm talking implementation of technology into traditional tech. Into traditional, financial technology. And this March already, for example, here in US, we had several companies that were commissioned to build national wallets, right? Because there was a need for distribution for funding. And it doesn't seem like it's a deep tech, but it is a deep tech, because deep tech, all that means is that it can allow us to do very strong infrastructure changes, right? So it's not the incremental change that we're used to, right? So like a little update the new iPhone has a little bit better camera, but really have a shattering change on the way we do things. And the reason I was mentioning blockchain is because that settlement layer is still not implemented, right? But the settlement layer, the true settlement layer, allows us to be able to cut intermediate steps in a transfer of securities to about 5, right? From like over 35. And that matters because every single intermediary requires time for transfer and requires money for transfer. So for us to be able to shrink it down that much allows us to create really affordable securities, right? And make security settlement much faster. And that's a big change for the world. But, and it couldn't be, but a lot of things couldn't happen and would not be happening if we were not all pulled back into our reality and kind of forced into understanding that things can change and they can change fast. And most importantly, they can change fast on a global level. Nobody, it's just something that we needed, I think, happen on as far as a global awareness. And that really comes to institutional investors and just regular investors too, because now in today's world, you better diversify your portfolio and you better look at interesting innovations and inventions that are happening. And if you have a very narrow thesis, I cannot imagine that serves you well.
Yeah, correct, Irina. Thank you for sharing that opening remarks. Today's topic is about deep tech. So we know technology has played a very important, vital role during this time of pandemic. Because of technology, we are able to talk, meet virtually with each other, and talk, and just lead normal lives. I must say, and a lot of things have digitally been accelerated, faster than usual because of the situation of physical distancing and no travels. So, Vandana, I know you invest in deep tech space more. Can we start with you with the trends that you've seen? Because we are almost ending 2020 in a few more days. We'd like to know the trends, and this is the first episode you are sort of here, but we'd like to know what has happened as per you in 2020 in the space. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sonny. So, deep tech, is a very, it's an emerging technology spaces where blockchain, computer imaging, and a lot of other AI compatible startups have come up. So, one of the companies that I am working with is building a FPGA based artificially evolving contextually aware edge platform architect to accelerate deep learning 3D sensing data. It is a perception software and a smart edge device which helps machine learn and perceive faster. Now, this technology can be applied in few areas like robotics, smart spaces, security surveillance, and automation, and intelligent transport systems, etc. This is one of the technology. Even in health, it can be a very good factor. Then the other company is a contactless facial recognition temperature measurement device that is
Yeah.
used to reduce the transmission of coronavirus.
Right.
Instead of having those physical temperature
Yeah.
taking devices, the employees can just stand in front of this and it will, scan them through what are their health issues, etc. So this is, AI in health situations. Then another kind of company that has been providing technological solutions through the means of a robust perimeter to security issues such as theft, attack, or sabotage, etc. So these are like fencing devices. Which is mostly used in borders, etc., to protect the country. Deep technology refers to those startups whose business model is based on high-tech innovation or significant scientific advances. Like Irina mentioned, that we need to really change the thesis, for the investors. And the term deep tech is intended to set it aside from its opposite, shallow tech. Shallow tech is a relatively, simple technological advanced moving business from a non-digital business model to a digital one. So, shallow tech advances are easy for competitors to replicate, and they do not disrupt the market so much. For example, a telephone-based delivery service now offered in digital fashion through a phone app, or a bookshop now offering e-books for digital download, would be both examples of shallow tech. While if you remember, Uber had disrupted the taxi market completely,
Yeah.
but it doesn't qualify deep tech because it is leveraged an already existing concept and built a platform using pre-existing readily available digital technologies on it. For deep tech, the business starts with and circles around some sort of real innovative technology. It is developed to solve almost intractable problems in the real world. Like if you see now, we have robots that are disinfecting, and we have robots, that are even there on the airlines, instead of the other normal things that we use. And deep tech startups are likely to be based on artificial intelligence or machine
Right.
learning or other innovative applications to the new existing emerging technologies. Like I mentioned earlier, blockchain, computer imaging, VR. These are some really good examples of deep tech that I would take into consideration. I hope
But
that was.
you also mentioned, yeah, you also mentioned, sorry, I just missed it, got distracted a bit. Shallow tech.
Yeah,
Is
shallow
it
tech.
shallow tech? So what's the difference between deep tech and shallow tech? I mean, deep and shallow, I understand the meaning, but can you just a
Yeah.
little bit?
Yeah, so like I gave the example of Uber, Uber, while it disrupted the taxi market completely, but it cannot be qualified as deep tech because it leveraged on already existing concepts that were there, and it just you built a platform using the pre-existing available digital technologies. While deep tech, it has to be really innovative, and then,
Uh,
like, it has to change the it is not using the existing digital things. So I would not qualify Uber as a deep tech. It is a shallow tech. Like I
right.
mentioned, like apps for books. These are deep tech is more of AI, robotics, censoring 3Ds, where we can actually help in the transportation systems and health devices. Like, like I mentioned, that we have this biometric thing that
Yeah.
scans the body
We have
temperature.
in Singapore that scans. I just go and
Yeah.
face myself, and it gives my temperature. But that's
Yeah.
about it. Don't give me anything else.
Yeah, yeah. So we have new such technologies that have come up that even scan the health of the person. Uh,
Vital
so uh,
statistics. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So when we go to the malls here in India,
Yeah.
they in some of the malls they don't do the physical thermometer thing. What they do is when we just walk through, it announces our temperature. So that's a very great
Oh,
way. Yeah, yeah. So when you just walk through it, that sensor thing, it just automatically
yeah.
reads your temperature, and it announces it like 97, 96, like that.
That's
Uh,
good.
yeah. So, all these things are really innovative, and they have
Yeah.
just come up post COVID. And, AI technology, if you look at Alexa devices and, all these, they are also using a kind of deep tech technology. In olden days, where did we have a device like Alexa?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an AI robot, and we can just play songs, and it's so nice. We don't need to have a music system anymore.
Absolutely. See, I learned so much deep tech and what was that? Shallow tech. Thank you so much. And the voice temperature announcement. Oh my God. Geez, I'd like to go to one of those malls and experience myself, Vandana, soon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Okay,
so much.
Irina, I know you are deeply involved in the space tech. Space tech is a very specialized sector, if I understand from the viewers and audience. And I haven't seen many startups in that space coming on VCTV yet. Could you please take us through like what's space tech about? I mean, we all know Elon Musk and everything, but the space tech, what you're doing in this space, trends and investments. Irina, over to you.
Yeah, so usually space, the reason we're not seeing a lot of space kind of companies coming through traditional early stage funding, um, because they require much more money, and so those are not the deals that would go and shop around the investors who deploy 100 or $500,000, right? It's just kind of doesn't really work because kind of a normal A round raise for space is about $100 million, which is way outside of the reach of the pockets of early stage, early stage fund, whether it's VC or whether it's independent investor or whatever. So because the sizes are so much bigger, they're usually they would be shopping their deals with funds that that deploy usually on C plus rounds. And so and that's and C is not is 100 is too big for C as well, right? So that's the reason we're not seeing them. There's not really much bootstrapping that you can do in the space industry, but we're starting to see that. So last year was a really awesome year because a startup so they raised $1 million, only $1 million, and they actually were able with that to crash into the moon. And the reason it's important is because it didn't cost $150 million, right? So if you wanted to send a rover right now to moon, it would cost about $150 million, and you would utilize other launching platforms, right? So that was really important. Now, the fact that they crashed, of course, is not ideal, right? But they did it, and they bootstrapped, and they did it for $1 million, and that's unbelievable. That's kind of what leads overall. That's what leads innovation, right? Because we need to be able to go, and we need to be able to break things fast. And that's one of the problems for space industry, is because breaking things for space industry does not work, right? So, and I'll give you an example, which is really interesting. So yesterday the Earthship they did the testing. Earthship is the rocket that will go to Mars from SpaceX. Right. And so yesterday was an amazing day. They were able to test 3 rockets, right? So basically it's a 3-engine rocket, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a shell. There's nobody wasn't there. And they met all of their objectives. But in the end of the day, the thing blew up, right? So, and that was still a successful mission. What they did, they were able to take off, maneuver, and then back out and land back, right? And as they touched up, as they were landing, one of the rockets blew up. Then you could see it flare. Then you could see the next one flare, and then as they touched down, there was a big explosion. And so the reason it's expensive is because it was an explosion, right? So it completely wipe everything out, and you always have to be prepared for that in space. So everything has to be extra, all of the source of your materials have to be extra traced, and everything is just extra expensive because there's not much margin for you to have mistake, right? And especially when you actually go on a mission.
Was this a mistake or this explosion?
I mean, so what they did, has not been done, right? So they have accomplished the mission. So their objective was to take off, to do the vertical. So the rocket. So Earthship will have 20 rockets in it, right? So it will be engine full of 20 rockets, not 1 or 2. So they went up to 3 yesterday. So there were 3 rockets, and what they did, their objective was to take off, go with that up to 15 kilometers, and then go vertical. And so they went vertical, right? So they basically, you could see the rocket go up, and then it just stood there like this.
Yeah.
We go a little bit, and then it went back, and it went back, and then it just landed. It was supposed to land. So there was a 70% chance that it will explode. So it was calculated into the margins.
Right.
So when it was going to, it was a big success that it exploded when the mission was complete, right? That when then maneuvering happened, and that all the rockets flared out. I mean, the second rocket flared out as it touched up. The reason I'm saying that is that because it's very expensive to do things in space. And so early stage venture capitalists never get
Yeah.
a chance to participate in space, because when you're raising $100 million, your $100,000, $200,000 check, it just does not even scratch the surface, and the capital is very expensive, right?
Right.
Raising capital is extremely expensive. That's why we're not seeing that. But the space industry is very dynamic industry. There are a lot of different companies that are needed and that are there, and a lot of them have nothing to do with launch, right? So, and actually, in fact, launch is overfunded the way it is right now. If you go to spacefund.com, I highly recommend looking it up and scroll down to the new reality rating. They basically they do research, and they publish their results of their research, and you can see what kind of a categories in the space industry exist. So you can really understand what ecosystem of the space industry itself is, and you can see how well kind of these categories are actually funded, right? So if you're an investor, the reason it's important is because you can see that, let's say there's a, fueling in space, right? Or 3D printing parts in space. And that's all for low Earth orbit. You can then see what is available there and what companies are actually working on it. So you can contact the companies directly and participate in that. The reason I'm sharing this information is because the space industry is kind of a very confusing to people, right? How, if you want to start diversifying your
totally.
Right. Where do you invest? Do you try to buy some SpaceX on secondary market, or how does that work? And it can be very confusing. And so having Space Fund publish this work and seeing the portfolio that they're investing in allows you to kind of make a safer, more educated bet. Right. So then you can either follow their investments, or you can actually, do your own research, but it gives you the resources, which is very important. Usually funds don't really do that. Only really mature funds do that, right? They put up the market research and all of that. So, obviously Leo, anything to do in Leo right now, and Leo is a low Earth orbit, that's where we have our satellites.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting development happening there, but also how many more satellites do we need? We're expected to launch a lot of satellites. Elon Musk wants to change the way we
totally.
And also it's interesting too, because he has a capacity to do it, so it's not his plan, but it is something that, because they have the capacity to do it, they're going to take advantage of it and go ahead and do it. Which, by the way, he moved to Austin, Texas, so we're very happy about that. A lot of people are moving to Austin, Texas. So if you live wherever you live, I highly recommend moving to Austin, Texas, because we just love it. It's an awesome city to be in. But the things to look at would be servicing companies. So it's not a company that, let's say, dedicated to launch, a company that's dedicated to building satellites, but a company that can, for example, refuel satellites. So that can make sure, because basically what happens is that satellites run out of energy. Okay, so they run on water, they run out of energy, and then they stop, and then your asset starts kind of a spiraling off the orbit, and eventually it comes into our atmosphere and burns out. Well, it's very expensive, right? Now, it's not as easy as you think to be able to, to refuel in space, but it's very needed, and there is a huge demand for it. So I believe that Orbit Fab is the company that actually have been, for last year, making gasket caps for new satellites and building that. And now they're launching their fueling, they're building their fueling platform. So they'll have a gas station.
Sorry to interrupt you. So this place, this space of investment as a space fund that you own, it's not very crowded. It seems to me. So do you think as a woman investor, you have a much more advantage to be in this space? Do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, so because it's not crowded, and it's becoming pretty crowded when it comes to lunch. So that's not what we're concentrating on. We have plenty of lunch. And now if we talk about innovation and changing the way we understand physics, there are some interesting projects, and Space Fund is not investing it, and they are, there's definitely a need for changing the way we travel, the way we think about physics. That's really, really deep tech. So for example, Quantum Machines is a really, really great company that is, that has a great patent on basically, on a number of things. But the important thing is that their thesis is that our understanding of physics is wrong, and based on that, they've created experiments that allow you to kind of move the whatever device without it being attached, by just spinning something underneath it, at a very, very underneath it, not spinning it, but spinning something under it on a very, very
Thank you.
place. So overall space is a good space to be in. The reason is because there's a lot of opportunities, and as an early stage movers, you're going to start seeing benefits later on. So actually right now, space investment is really profitable because your mergers and acquisitions happen about on average in 7 years. So if you're running under a 10-year thesis, then your liquidity comes in early, right? So now there's a problem with mergers and acquisitions because it kills the innovation, right? So your big company will not be able to disrupt. So it is problematic, but more and more funds are standing up that are dedicated to space investment thesis.
Right. Fantastic. I mean, very good insights, Irina, for anyone who would like to invest in this space or explore. Very good insights coming from Irina. Please do tune in and listen to what she's got to say. Thank you so much. Now moving to Vandana, I just want to ask, as a woman investor, what kind of challenges, I mean, do you also need to know about all those deep technologies yourself before investing? And what are the best practices that you follow generally? Because technology something is not everybody's cup of tea. So over to you, Vandana.
Yeah, thank you so much, Soni, and great insights, Serena. I really liked what you spoke about space tech. I'll tell you that not many women are in this space, and there are very few women who want to get into this space. I would encourage all women to do something different and try to look into this space, because it can really do wonders. Technology is always scalable and lowers the pricing significantly. And I strongly believe that nothing is a rocket science. If we look into anything deeply and understand it, we can easily understand all the technologies around us. I'll tell you, why investors invest in deep tech. Because investors can also be incentivized by the desire to make an impact on the future. Deep tech by nature is very futuristic. This incentivizes the investors to look into deep tech to be able to have a considerable impact on the future.
Right.
And additionally, the products in deep tech industry are scarce, meaning they have the possibility of gaining more market and revenue than other kinds of products also. And ultimately, it's a combination of possible return and chance to make a difference. Drives the investor to put their arms into deep tech. And when I look into any company before investing, or any of my investors would do that,
Yeah.
we look into three things. One is how innovative is the technology,
Right.
what is the founder's background, and also if the company is making any revenues.
Right.
And how have they visualized their concept.
Hmm.
So these are the three factors that we deeply look into.
Okay,
Uh,
so deep tech is very futuristic, and the investors also get incentivized by, and you encourage a lot of women as to be in the deep tech and space tech as well, as Irina said. All right,
yeah. Uh,
fantastic. And anything you
even
want
in
on? Yeah,
even in space tech, there is an Indian startup that is working with the ISRO centers, and that will get access to technical information and facilities necessary to go forward with their launch vehicle development there. So we have a lot of innovative things coming in India also in space tech technology.
right.
Though Arena has more insights on that, but this was my take from her thoughts.
All right. All right, great. Thank you, Vandana, for sharing those insights with us. So we are mostly on time, considering this is a two-panel session. So, Irina, I would like to now take closing remarks. There are two things I like to ask you. You have been with, you've been a part of the VCTV family. I mean, you are a VCTV family, I would say, rather, that way. So, two things from you. Closing remarks. We are ending the year. So I like to collect some best moments that you have experienced being on VCTV.
Oh, how lovely. Best moments. Well, what I really love is that it allows us to connect globally all over the world. People that are really dedicated to concentrating on advancing our reality into a better state than complaining and whining about the problems that we are experiencing right now, right? And to me, that's really important. And the network of people that have been participating in speaking have created really, really strong connections. I can tell you that so many, basically everybody that there's so many partnerships that I personally have made for my company Lumeria that
Yeah.
came out as a result of it. None of it is public yet because we're not ready publicly to announce things with Lumeria, and
Right.
but they're there, and that's important. And again, the people that are participating and speaking on VCTV are those people that are making and taking actions right now. The overall theme that I would say that I hear and an encouragement is that, look, take your steps right now, maximize on the opportunities that you have in front of you right now. Do not wait until we, so to say, go back to normal world, because normal is what we live in right now. Okay, every single day your reality is that which you have.
Yeah.
and 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 a lot of people in the world are chasing something and they don't know what that is, and a lot of investors are waiting and not deploying. And the truth is, we don't know how things are going to work out, and we don't know what's going to happen. But what we sure do know is that we can maximize the opportunities that we have in front of us, and we can connect and we can share our deal flow. We can share our knowledge, and we can educate each other. And most importantly, because of the technology, we're able to do this. This is unprecedented. I believe that if it wasn't for technology, and a lot of people complain about tech, but if it wasn't for technology, we would have a global chaos all over the world right now, because people would be at home, segregated, going crazy, wanting to go and, fight. And now, yes, it is happening on a smaller scale. because we do have this ability to share information. We do have this ability to see each other. And we, in some ways, we have ability to meet in the same day and have number of productive meetings. And in some ways, it would have taken days and days to be able to accomplish what we can do in just a couple of hours, right? Most importantly, people that are willing to take steps, they are opening up, they are connecting, and they have embraced that, yes, it is unusual to do things virtually, but we have to do them, and there's no other choices for us right now, so we shall do it. And to me, VCTV is the platform that allows us to do it. And, I really appreciate that you guys, that, VCTV is a LATOKEN, is subsidiary of a LATOKEN. I know that you guys are independent from LATOKEN, you're doing separate thing, but it was born through LATOKEN, right? It was born through you guys doing your conferences and everything. And what I appreciate is that you guys went in and you didn't just call yourself LATOKEN, but you called yourself VCTV. You also evolved in a way to where now we're having conversations about space and about quantum. And most of these things have nothing to do with crypto, right? So you guys also expanded your exposure and your thesis, at least in reaching out to the world, to things that are outside of the world that was common and normal to you, right? Because your biggest, your guys's business line is being an exchange for crypto, right? You guys are crypto exchange, but yet look, you guys are providing platform for investors all over the world to discuss biotech, space tech, deep tech, women investing in tech, right? You take it, construction tech. So you guys took yourself outside of the box and encouraged, I think, others to connect on the platform. So I do think that, to me, that's the most important thing, is that you allow us to connect and have these conversations without necessarily, incentivizing us participating in your main line of business. So, and I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you, Rina. You've just rightly put it in right words. I mean, our main LATOKEN is a cryptocurrency exchange, but VCTV is not limited to cryptocurrency, as you rightly put it. And thank you so much for sharing those insights at the best moments of VCTV with us. Fantastic. Vandana, over to you now, because it's the first time you are speaking at VCTV, and I'm looking forward to have you more on VCTV. You slowly get used to it and probably get addicted to it, just like we. So yeah. So Vandana, what's your feedback about this session? What's stood out for you about VCTV, and the closing remarks for the topic today? Vandana, is it me or is it Vandana who's frozen?
Yeah, frozen.
Frozen? Okay. Yeah. So shall we wait?
Frozen, beautiful smile. She looks so
So what shall we do, Irina? Because this is like we're almost done.
Yeah.
She's back, I guess.
Yeah.
I see. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Vandana, welcome back.
Hi. Apologies. I think I just lost the connection.
You don't have to apologize. It's technology. We understand that.
So you were frozen in a beautiful smile. So
yes.
it was.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here, and I would encourage many more people to join this platform. I'm very grateful for giving me this honor to join hands with you and spread knowledge globally.
Right.
Even though we cannot meet physically, but we can always impart knowledge and spread it all around the world, and get more and more people encouraged, and maybe they can gain something out of it. You never know who is getting motivated out of these talks. And I would really encourage all women to come on these platforms and speak out and interact and get educated on these platforms. So my experience even on the first day is superbly cool, especially we all ladies having the pink thing, and I'm really excited to meet women for the first
Yeah.
time. I've been on panels with many men, and I've been the only woman there. This is kind of like a blessed moment.
I think you're so right, Vandana. Very much rightly put. We need more women on these panels. So,
Yes.
women entrepreneurs or investors, please feel encouraged by these words of coming from other women, and please show up on BCTV. We need
Yeah.
more women. I always try to, whenever I see women on panels like today's panel, I try to reach out to more specifically women. But obviously, this was, something planned out long time back, but
Yeah.
exactly as you rightly said, I'm planning to bring in more and more women, be it
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, be it investors, to share the space and share the knowledge. Like you share so much knowledge with us, Vandana. I came to know about differences between myself, DeepTech, and shallow tech, and Irina is always like insightful. She has lots to share. And I have learned a lot just by listening to Irina. I replay as well and take notes as well.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, that means you're really going back to it and taking some valuable notes. That's really encouraging.
Yeah,
It's nice to
yeah.
do that. Yeah.
That's the whole purpose. You can replay it anytime.
Oh,
So yeah, so these videos, these sessions can be replayed anytime. That's the beauty about VCTV. So
yes,
thank you
yes,
so much. Thank you so much, Vandana. Thank you so much, Arena, for sharing those insights today. It was lovely panel today, girls only or women only or whatever it only, but and very color coordinated. Like our Carol was in pink as well, baby pink. So it happened by chance, but it was all coordinated. Thank you so
yeah,
much for sharing your time and insights. I hope to have you back together on another panel soon. Till then, entrepreneurs and founders, feel free to reach out to us. If you have to pitch your ideas, if you have to pitch your startup to us, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm going to help you connect with these investors. Do not worry about it. Similarly, other investors, be it any field, any sector, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm going to connect you, and you're going to share space with other investors like this. Having said that, thank you so much, ladies, and take care. Have a good day, Reena. Have a good evening, Vandana. I hope to see you back, and take care. Bye.
bye.